These are 10 ways to stop thinking about someone for good. Whether this is an ex that you've been with for 10 years or a crush that maybe you've been with or haven't even been with, a situationship for a week, these work really well for everyone. Number 1 is to figure out the cause root. Why are you still thinking about this person? So this doesn't always apply to every situation, but in certain situations it's because the circle isn't yet complete, right? There's still some element of mystery involved. There's still a what if, right? So for instance, let's say you have a crush and you're thinking, oh my God, what if I would have asked them out? You know, what would happen if? Well, in those situations where you're still thinking, what would have happened? What if I did this? You know, drop your fears aside and go and do that thing. Go ask them out. Go, confirm your hypothesis or theory, because your mind will keep ruminating on it. So the best advice I have for these kind of situations is actually go do that thing that you're thinking about so that you can complete the circle. Maybe the date will be a flop. Maybe they reject you. Maybe it will be nice. No matter what happens, at least you have an answer. You have more clarity, and that helps a lot. Number 2 is to focus on reality. Focus on the facts. So a lot of people will go in extremes. They'll either romanticize the relationship or the person, idealize them, or they'll be like, this was the most horrible person in my life, right? So none of those assumptions are real, right? So if you find yourself thinking, oh my God, this was the best relationship I've ever been in. I'm never gonna find anyone like that again. I'm never gonna find anyone else in my life. These are just a bunch of assumptions and romanticizing the past. And try focusing on the actual facts. Maybe you have a friend that gives you a reality check because you broke up for a reason or the relationship didn't work out for a reason, right? So in that situation, you have to think, okay, what negatives did that person have, right? If you're romanticizing or idealizing them, what is wrong with them? Or if you're thinking, this was the worst relationship of my life, this was completely horrible, think, okay, but what did I learn from it? What good came out of it? Try to kind of have more reality, when it comes to this. And also, when you're saying things like, I'm never gonna find anyone again, bring yourself back to reality. You found this person. Maybe you had other people, that you were in relationships with before, other partners. There's 8 billion people on this planet and you can't find one of them. We are social creatures. We are hardwired to connect. So as long as you put yourself in enough social interactions and you have an open energy and mindset about finding someone, trust me, you will find someone. No matter what you look like, no matter how many college degrees you have, you will find someone. Number 3 is to accept instead of reject. So most people, what they'll do after a breakup, they will try to push everything in a little box inside their mind and hide it away. They'll make all of these thoughts about the relationship, about the person, forbidden. They'll try not to think about everything. If this isn't working out for you, and it probably isn't because you're watching this video, then instead try accepting the thoughts. Try accepting your feelings. Just accept. Yeah, I'm obsessing over this person and I feel like shit because they did this and I feel like this. And just accept how you feel. Accept your thoughts. Maybe take a designated time of 10 minutes and do sort of like a meditation where you just let yourself think about anything and accept everything that comes to your mind, all the thoughts, all of your emotions, without pushing them away. Because the moment you make something forbidden, and you're like, no, I don't like them, I don't want to think about that, it gains more power over you. Anything that's like forbidden becomes more important in your mind. That's just how our minds work. But the moment you accept, yeah, I'm in love and I'm craving this person that doesn't like me back, and that's really annoying, and like you accept the reality of that, you bring a lot more acceptance in your life and a bit more clarity and a bit more peace. Now, related to this, number 4 is to write it down. Journaling can be extremely helpful, especially if your mind is a complete chaos, because it can be a bit cathartic even, because you can write down all of your thoughts, and you feel like, okay, I've put all this mess that's in my mind, I've put it on paper. It's down, it's written down. It just does something to your mind that is really helpful. Every time I feel really stressed or anxious, or I feel a chaos in my mind and I write it down, I feel much more peaceful and more clarity after that. And if you want, you can even basically, after you write it down, reread it and start analyzing your thoughts a bit. Does this really make sense? Maybe you wrote, I'm never gonna find anyone like this again, and you can be questioning it. Is this actually true? Or, oh, they did this and they did that, and our minds tend to make a lot of assumptions and interpretations, and it's good sometimes to just bring a bit of clarity, do a bit of life coaching with yourself, and ask yourself, is this really true? What's another way of thinking? Is this way of thinking about the situation actually helping me, or is it just making me suffer? What other way would I like to think about this situation that would be helpful for me? Number 5 is to find a positive distraction. So there's a caveat to this, right? Because distractions can be bad, especially if they're unhealthy distractions like alcohol or gambling or any kind of addictions. But distractions can also be positive if used correctly. If you're not using them to shove your emotions and avoid everything, but it is healthy and helpful to have breaks from your suffering and focus on other things. So I do encourage you to pick up a book, listen to some music you like, watch a movie you like, call a friend, go out, do things that you enjoy, go out in nature so that you can focus on other things in your life as well. Number 6 is to focus on meeting your own needs. Try asking yourself, what need did this person meet in me? What did they do for me? What am I craving now? Right? Maybe it is love, maybe it is validation, maybe it's social connection, maybe it was this person was your best friend and lover and everything for you, and you don't have other social connections in your life, then you're gonna feel extremely lonely. So in that moment, you need social connection. You need to start going out and meeting people, not necessarily romantically, but making friends, making social connections, having those deeper interactions with someone else. And it can be difficult if you're doing this right after a breakup, because they also take time. Building a social connection takes time, but even starting the process to build a social connection and make more friends around you can be extremely useful. So think, what do I need? How can I meet that myself, or go to other places or people to meet it? Maybe I feel oh, now my life is boring because I don't have this person. So think, okay, what can I do? What activity can I take? Where can I travel? What can I do by myself? What can you do to meet your own needs? Number 7, it's the cliche, focus on yourself. Focus on getting a goal, and working towards it. Focus on discovering yourself. Maybe you've been in a toxic relationship. Go buy a book about attachment styles or about schema therapy so that you can understand yourself in a more logical way, maybe even the other person. Sometimes it can help to rationalize everything. Going in another extreme where you only try to rationalize everything and understand everything can lead you down a darker path of obsession. But If it's balanced, right, then it can be really helpful to understand yourself, to read about, okay, how can I improve myself in the next relationship? What can I do? How can I understand things better? You know, focus on a goal that you can work towards. Maybe you start a new side hustle. Maybe you start learning a language. You know, maybe you start doing acting classes or do something that you've always wanted to do. Maybe get your driver's license. I know someone that was feeling quite low and they just starting their driving lessons, and it gives them that goal, you know, and it's quite hard, right, to achieve it, and you have to take all these exams, but you know, having that process of learning, of getting like small like gratifications as well, it's really beneficial, you know, if you're going through a harder period of your life. It gives you those dopamine rushes, you know, when you're working towards something. So working towards a goal is really helpful. Number 8 is to keep a healthy distance. Now, sometimes that's not possible, right? Once I dated a guy that I lived in the same student accommodation with. Bad mistake. No, încă dată. Number 8 is to keep a healthy distance. Try not to call, not to text, block them on social media, unfollow them. If you're in the same social group, maybe try avoiding going to like meetups when they're there and so on. Because if you constantly see them, it can be extremely hard to move on from them. Try to remove them from your surroundings and your proximity for a while so you can actually start the process of detaching from them. 9, stay in the here and now. So when you're constantly thinking and obsessing over someone, the chemicals that are released in your brain are mostly composed of dopamine. So dopamine is your brain's go-getter that makes you chase, that makes you crave something that you don't have, right? We want to switch from a dopamine like chemical kind of process in your brain to a more like here and now chemicals. So oxytocin, endorphin, serotonin, these are all chemicals that make you enjoy the here and now. And if you're practicing, you know, gratefulness, mindfulness, living in the moment, appreciating the small things in life, not so much in the future or past or in your mind or craving something, but just like on here and now. Start your day by thinking about 10 things that you are grateful for instance, in this period of your life. You know, it can be small things. Go in nature and start observing a little flower or a little, I don't know, a tree or something. Start living in the here and now more, because we want to switch, you know, from a dopamine system to a more like endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin system. Because obsession is basically an addiction. Dopamine is the main chemical involved in addiction, like drug addiction, gambling addiction, but it's also involved in romantic addiction, you know, love addiction. So sometimes there's actually studies that shows that the brain parts that are involved in drug cravings are also involved in, you know, they get activated when you crave someone or when you experience romantic rejection. So you need to handle it as if it's an addiction. So to switch from the dopamine system to the here and now. And number 10, give it time. You know, cut yourself some slack, be compassionate with yourself, especially if this situation is very recent. Then it's normal for you to be suffering or thinking about the other person. You know, like I have clients coming to me after a few days after breaking up from someone or a week, and they're like, oh my God, what do? I keep thinking about him. And I'm like, but that's normal, because you know, it's healthy for human beings to get attached to other human beings. So when you experience rejection or detachment, it will hurt. That's natural, and that's the risk we all take when we fall in love with someone. You know, you can't have a deep, meaningful, vulnerable relationship if you don't open up, you know, and like you allow yourself the possibility to be hurt. It requires a lot of courage, and it's normal for you to hurt. That's what I'm trying to say. It's normal to feel what you're feeling. So give yourself also some time. Take it day by day, you know, you will see that in time it gets better. So, you know, try focusing on what can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? Like small steps. How can I make myself feel better today and tomorrow and the day after? Take it day by day instead of trying to get rid of everything like right now. You know, be compassionate and be patient with yourself as well. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it was helpful for anyone struggling with obsessing or thinking about someone, and let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to ask me any personalized questions, you can join my Patreon community and I will send you a personalized video response. Take care.